So, what's up, everyone? If you're watching this, you already know that we are going to be looking at the fundamental update for this week, which is August 24th, as of the time making this video, 2025. So, last week, first of all, we will look at that. Last week was amazing week. First of all, there was no volatility, like I said. Then at the end of the week, which was Friday, huge volatility kicked into the market, making everything I predicted last week go as planned. So before we go into this week, what we have for this week, let us recap on what happened last week. Beginning of the week, I told you all that card CPI will be released, but card CPI all came out neutral. Both the month on month, both the year on year, everything came out neutral, which is this first one, right? Card CPI, this first one, and there was no effect in the market. There was no effect in Canadian dollar market. Now, secondly, which was on Wednesday, NZD monetary policy came out. Now, I feel like this month, or I would like to say this month and the previous month, it's just simply all about monetary policy. The market team is on monetary policy. It's all about either rate cut or rate hike. Why is that? This is due to the fact that throughout this year, we've been having tariff uncertainty. Now, this tariff uncertainty actually increased inflation in some countries and also reduced inflation in some particular economy too as well. So now, due to the fact that everything was affected and inflation is the major target of the tariff uncertainty, which happened throughout this year from January, all the way from January all till May, Trump was just releasing different announcements based on tariff, and this affected the inflation of the economy. Now, in order to keep inflation at a steady rate, what do the central bank have to do? They have to either cut interest rates or hike interest rates, and this is simply what they call monetary policy. You're trying to keep the economy at a balance. You understand? So now, due to the fact that NZD had a monetary policy statement on Wednesday, what happened? They cut interest rates. Now, I told you cutting interest rates means inflation is going down and the economy is trying to stimulate. The central bank is trying to stimulate the economy by cutting interest rate. When they cut interest rate, it means that people will borrow more from bank because they are going to pay at a lower interest. People will start spending more in the economy and the economy will start doing well. An economy where the individuals are spending more, it's going to be doing well. An economy where everybody is hogging their money and saving in the bank is going to be doing poorly. Do you understand? Because there have to be a high level of supply and demand for an economy to grow. So in order to do this, in order to motivate people to keep spending more, they have to reduce interest rates. And that is what they did on NZD, which made the market to sell massively. Let's look at NZD a bit, then we'll come back to USD and look at some of the trades I took this past week. So now, this is what happened during the rate cut. You can see, let me go back a little and make it very clear. When the rate cut news was released, this is how it happened. NZD sold massively and showed this big bearish candle in the hourly time frame. Now, whenever they cut interest rates, it means that the currency pair itself will be weak. And since NZD is weak, USD was leading. So since it's NZD USD, the pair sold massively, and I'm sure other NZD pairs had this massive spike as well. That is just simply it. That is what happened last week. So let's keep going. On FOMC minute meeting, nothing really big occurred during that meeting because they pushed it to wait for the Fed Powell speech, which was on Friday. The Fed Powell speech was on Friday, and that was actually what moved the market. And I'll tell you what he said. I will tell you simply what he said, because a lot of you don't even know what he said. That's because you don't understand fundamental. Well, let me help you break it down. So now, Thursday, nothing really important happened. Just flash service PMI. I told you that nothing really important happened on Thursday. All these red folders doesn't really mean anything important. So on Friday, what happened? Fed Chairman Powell speech. Now, what did he say in that speech? Like I told you all, the market team currently is on what? Monetary policy. And USD have been expecting a rate cut. Expectation on rate cut on USD is what is making dollar bearish. And some of you came with your technical analysis telling me that dollar is bullish, and I told you, oh, that dollar will still sell. I can stamp on, as long as fundamental says dollar will sell, dollar will sell. Forget about that technical that you're looking at. As long as fundamental says dollar will sell, dollar will sell. See, fundamental is actually very, very strong. And don't worry, by the time you keep following me up on these fundamental updates every weekend, you would understand what we're talking about. So on Friday, Fed Chairman Powell just simply said that the expectation on September rate cut is going to surely be held, and they are going to cut rates by 25 bips. Now, this news alone have already, shown investors that yes, a rate cut is going to happen. What happened that day? Well, I remember giving you all, a fundament, an analysis last week, telling you all that dollar would obviously, this was where dollar was as of last week, right? I told you all that dollar would retrace all the way, at least to this zone. I said this zone, or it to come and sweep liquidity and sell massively. Now, that is exactly what happened. Let us look at it. We can see after the news was released, which was on Friday, dollar sold massively. Now, a lot of traders thought that this was a bullish move to the top, and I told you all that as long as they are expecting a rate cut, dollar will keep selling. And this was the massive sell. A lot of my students made profit from this. I myself, I took a trade on Euro USD. I took a long position on Euro USD, and this was my entry. I took a long position on Euro USD, and you can see how good the market is going. I've already taken partials at this zone. I took my first partials at this zone, and I might just hold it till next week to see if it can get to my TP, right? My expectation is for it to retrace a little and then keep going up. Do you understand? That is my expectation. A lot of profit was made from this, and this is just the two trades I've taken on Euro USD so far, this one and this one. You can see, and this is just simply based on the fundamentals. I don't counter trend, right? Even if I'm expecting a retracement, I don't trade it. All I just do is follow the direction of the fundamentals. The technicals will give me entry, and as you can see, technicals give me entry, fundamentals came to meet the entry and pumped from there. That was when all of a sudden fundamental and technicals, they timed together and gave to this huge bullish candle after the Fed Powell speech on what? On rate cut expectation on September. It just simply means that the economy is going to expect a rate cut, and dollar is weak based on the fact that why? They have reduced interest rates on dollar. Investors will not put their money in there, and it's going to make the market massively weak, right? Exactly. Let us look at other pairs that went bullish, right? This is GBP USD, and I will say what did this particular pair expected? It just swept liquidity and went up. This is just simply turtle soup, right? Turtle soup. Anybody that understands the turtle soup concept, and most of my students does, they would have taken the trade from here, at least from this zone, after the sweep of liquidity and the bounce up. So that is just simply it. But I did not trade GBP USD. I didn't take any trade on that. Now, for the JPY, I told you all that JPY last week is going to be what? Bearish, and it was simply bearish. But this was my entry on JPY, CAD JPY, but this CAD JPY missed me by just a single pip. Now I want to tell you all that I'm still holding this position. I still have this belief that CAD JPY might still come back here and sell, but we would look at that when we are looking at our setup for the week. But for now, I just want to show you all that everything that was predicted last week happened as predicted. USD JPY was a massive sell too as well, but I couldn't find a good entry for this. I just analyzed it and saw that, oh yes, there was an entry after the sweep of liquidity, which was after the news release. The market now sold massively. A good entry. Do you understand? A very great entry. So what else? That should be it. That should be all the pairs we looked at last week, right? Now let us look at the news we have for this week. This week is actually a very, very short and simple week. You can see, starting from Monday 25th, we have GBP bank holiday. Now, this is just British pound bank holiday. What does this mean? It means that British pound will be, the volatility on British pound will be weak due to the fact that they're having a bank holiday. I always advise you all, whenever you are, setting your forex factory, always put this gray, this this gray flag, what I call it flag or gray folder. This will help you understand which days that there will be volatility and which days there will be less volatility. On Tuesday, we have CAD, BOC, government speaks. Well, this might be important for CAD, but I doubt it might move the market. On Wednesday, AUD, CPI on year wouldn't move the market. On Thursday, GBP prelims, quote unquote, that's the quarter, right? The quarter month GDP wouldn't really move the market. Unemployment claims, it wouldn't really move the market. The one that will move the market is on Friday, which is the core PCE. So now what I'm trying to say is that the only news that is important for next week or for this week is core PCE, price index. That's the only news that's important. And why is this important? Well, because it's following the market theme. The market theme is simply based on inflation. And what does that mean? It means that PCE is showing you the number of price that were bought by the consumers. Let us look at it a little bit, right? It's just showing you that there's a change of price of goods and services purchased by consumers, excluding food and energy. Now, if the price of this goods and services that was purchased is higher than expected, it means that inflation is actually increasing. It's good. You understand? But if it's lower than expected, inflation is dropping, and it's going to give them more room for what? A rate cut on September. That is just simply it. And so investors and the Fed and the banks, they'll be looking at this PCE number to know if inflation is actually changing or if inflation is still going lower and respecting the September rate cut expectation. Now, analysis for the week, right? Because I know that's what most of you have been waiting for. So far, the past 2 weeks, I gave out analysis and it played out exactly as I gave out, based on fundamental and based on technical. If you are still missing out on this, or if you are not taking it serious, I suggest you should start taking it serious now, because I wouldn't be doing this for long. You understand? Literally, what I'm doing here is giving you tips on how to just trade the market and make profit from it. So let us go straight to DXY first of all. On dollar, what is my expectation? Well, this is currently dollar, and I can tell you for a fact that dollar is in a point of, is respecting this particular zone, right? This is where it is, and you have to be very, very careful for dollar. Why? Because dollar is actually at a point where it might range a bit. So we might see something like this, right? We might see something like this, and all of a sudden a massive break to the downside. If that happens, which is my expectation, then I'll wait for the market to retrace all the way back to this level before I ever take a trade. Back to this level before I ever take a trade. Do you understand? So that's just simply what I am expecting. Let me check who is on the door. I'm actually busy. Okay. So that is my expectation. Sorry, someone interrupted. So let's go straight to GBP JPY. GBP JPY is actually still not looking good. GBP JPY is not looking good, and I wouldn't expect anyone to trade this. Why? Because the market is just ranging at this zone. Except if you are a scalper and you want to take the trade based on this, then sure. If you're a scalper and you want to take the trade based on this, sure. But for me, I will wait for a break from this level before I continue to sell on GBP JPY. Do you understand? But for now, the market is just simply ranging. So for CAD JPY, I will still keep my analysis. This would be my entry for CAD JPY, and I would wait for it to just simply retrace back to this level before I ever take the trade. Simply it. Wait for it to retrace back to this level before I ever take the trade. So this zone has, maybe markets might come back to sweep this liquidity over here, right, before it now push lower. But don't bet on it, because markets might actually want to go higher a bit at this zone. But I will still keep my level here on GBP JPY. Let's look at GBP CAD, which is something I noticed. GBP CAD is actually at a very, very good level. After breaking this previous key level, it now came back to dance a bit. But you have to be careful. Why? Because also this zone acts as a little bit resistance for the market to go up. But our focus on GBP CAD would be for the market to sweep this liquidity. Once it sweeps this liquidity, maybe give Entry here, confirmation entry, that's what I'll wait for. I wouldn't take an aggressive entry on a key level neutral zone, and then I'll push it to the upside and I'll trade the bullish ride. Do you understand? Because GBP is still strong, CAD is certainly still weak. A lot of reason why CAD is weak, because of the whole saga that is going on monetary policy. But one thing I want to let you know is that if CAD if dollar keep being weak, CAD might actually increase in strength. Do you understand? That is a whole different topic on fundamentals. It has to do with oil price and dollar price. So this is USD CHF. I'm not really a fan of this pair, especially during times of news and monetary policy and stuff like that. This August period, most pairs are just ranging. That's what I want you to understand. Most pairs are ranging. So if you are looking for the best pairs to trade, I would suggest you should just stick to the ones that are looking like a trend. Like USD, Euro USD is still looking like a trend. What is my expectation? If you're looking for a re-entry on Euro USD, well, you might just simply wait for it to get all the way back to this level. Possibly, I wouldn't take a trade at this level, but if you miss the first ride, wait for it to get back to this level at least, then give you a confirmation to keep pushing higher. Do you understand? That is my expectation on Euro USD. NZD USD, very, very nice pair, but I would advise you to stay out because NZD is weak at the same time dollar is weak. So now we don't know where to follow. Do you understand? Whenever two currencies are on a convergence, I call it convergence, right? It means that both of them are weak or both of them are strong. It's not a good type of trade. It will actually affect you. AUD USD is actually ranging. I would not even advise you to trade this, except maybe we see a good entry, the market goes all the way higher than this and then keep pushing up. Do you understand? Because AUD USD is supposed to be bullish based on dollar is weak, but AUD at the same time too is weak. Like I said, convergence, so I wouldn't even trade it. GBP AUD, this is my expectation on GBP AUD. Well, I'm actually expecting market to break this level. I'm not seeing this level as a possible entry, no, because I'm expecting market to break it. Now if market now break it and come back for a retest, maybe I can now start finding entry. But for the meantime, I wouldn't be trading this pair because I am not sure if this trend is over or if it's just coming to sweep liquidity to keep going up. Not really sure, but from my outlook, this pair is pretty much looking bearish. But AUD is weak. Why would GBP AUD be bearish? My suggestion is GBP AUD might actually keep being bullish, but based on fundamentals, GBP AUD is supposed to keep being bullish, right? Yes, but based on technicals, it's actually looking like it's about to be bearish. We'll have to just wait for a confirmation at that zone. So what else are we looking at? Let's go back to that DXY. Let's go back to dollar. Like I said, I'll wait for dollar to retrace all the way back to this level to break this zone and retrace back to this level before I find an entry. But if it comes all the way up here and people want to find an entry there, sure, you can find a sell entry. Do you understand? But my prediction on dollar is that it will keep being weak until the rate cut. Maybe possibly on September it might start being bullish. Do you understand? But for now, dollar is still weak. We still have a lot of zones to retest. It might still come all the way down here. Possibly it might still come all the way down there. So that is just simply it for the fundamental update. I hope I covered everything. In case there are things you want me to be covering, let us look at gold. Most of you love trading gold. So gold was actually bullish last week. Why was gold bullish? Well, because of the rate cut expectation, investors put their money on gold and it came out bullish. Now this is a zone in which I marked like 2 weeks ago and the markets came back to respect it. That's very, very nice. But like I said, in the higher time frame, gold is looking like a ranging market. So market might just keep ranging at this zone. Do you understand? Market might just keep ranging at this zone before we see a sell to the downside or a buy to the upside. Do you understand? But I myself, I would lovely trade this if it wasn't a ranging market. Well, August period is not really a good month to trade because of the low volatility, but there are still opportunities. Every month there's an opportunity to make money in the market. Have that in mind. So I hope you understood the fundamental update for this week. This week focus is going to be on monetary policy and also the inflation rate on Friday. For the meantime, make sure to have a lovely day ahead and I wish you all a great and successful trading week.